Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
We about to turn it up. We about to turn it up. Yeah. We about to turn it up.
Over 900 athletes, 179 countries, one world champion. This is the World Taekwondo.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all. Um, thank you all for taking the time to join us today. Whether you are turning in live or watching from different parts of the world, we truly appreciate your presence and interest. Today's webinar is a special one, and we are excited to have such a strong and engaging audience with us. We are here today to learn, to grow, and to gain insight from someone whose knowledge, experience, and dedication had made a lasting impact in his field. This session is designed to inspire, challenge, and provide valuable perspective that you can take forward into your own journey. It is my great honor to privilege to introduce our guest speaker for today, Grandmaster Keith Evans. Good afternoon, Grandmaster Keith Evans. How are you today?
Good afternoon. I'm very good, thank you. I'm surviving Christmas, and I hope everyone else did too. And hello.
So just to let all the audience know, Grandmaster Keith Evans is widely respected for his decades of experience, discipline, leadership, and deep commitment to excellence. His work has influenced countless students and practitioners, and his teaching go far beyond techniques, focusing on mindset, character, and lifelong learning. He is known not only for his mastery, but also for his ability to communicate powerful ideas with clearly and purpose. We are truly fortunate to have him with us today, and we are confident that you will find his insight both meaningful and impactful. So, without further delay, let's start with our Grandmaster. First of all, thank you, Grandmaster, for being with us. I know you are very busy, and this is a Christmas period. Meant to spend time with your family, but you manage sometimes for our audience. Thank you very much indeed, Master.
My pleasure.
At the session, I know if we talk with Grandmaster Keith Evans, he is such a knowledgeable person. It never ends. I spent hours and hours talking to Grandmaster Evans to learn Taekwondo on a regular basis. So that's why I kept this session a bit simple So we actually get a little bit idea about Grandmaster Keith Evers and his journey in Taekwondo. Grandmaster Evans, just to begin, can you let the audience know about your beginning journey to Taekwondo? How did you journey in Taekwondo begins?
Well, Taekwondo was never the target, to be honest. At an early age, about 11, I was bullied at school. I think everyone's bullied at school at some point by someone bigger and meaner. And my grandfather was a policeman in the Metropolitan Police, and he was a boxing champion. So he said I should learn boxing. So I started out thinking I should have a go at boxing, absolutely rubbish at it. And the funny thing was that he'd also been a bodyguard for one of the judo guys that came to the UK and toured musicals. And he was the bodyguard. Bear in mind, my grandfather is bigger than me, 6'4", big guy, 16 stone. And he said he was so impressed by these little Japanese fellas that were doing judo that he said, "You must learn judo." So I found a judo school. At the time, I'd started out trying to do other sports. I'd done judo. I did judo to a fair level with a chap called Dave Starbrook, who I've even in research last night discovered he was a silver medalist in the Olympics. I didn't realize. But he was so humble. And I think this is the thing about learning from these people. And the only thing I got from him, because he was very big, very strong, and I was skinny, and so I'm not the ideal person to learn from him. So the funny thing was, all I did really get from it after a couple of belts was I learned how to fall, but it opened the door to doing other martial arts. And my best friend said to me at the time, he was living with my grandmother, he said, "We're going to go around some martial arts schools." So we went everywhere. We went to Five Animals, Kung Fu, Bukakai, which I still think is a bit of a weird karate, Shukakai, Shotokan, Wadaru. None of them tick the boxes. And then one day, a chap called Chris Yates said, "I'm going to start a Taekwondo school." And he was a blue belt in ITF Taekwondo. So we all started training with him. And the long story short is that one day there was a knock on the door, and there was a little Asian fella standing there, and his name was Tu Meng Ken. And Meng Ken Tu came from Southampton. He was a maths lecturer, and he was teaching at Southampton University. And he said, "Would you like me to teach you Taekwondo?" At which point we went, "You're Asian. You look like Bruce Lee. Yes, please." And the rest is history, really. And from that school, a number of Taekwondo schools were formed, and we kept going. And the school was Chungdo-kwan. So that's before everything happened. So yeah, so back in the day, Chungdo-kwan was the first school, but we all ended up going to join the BTF, British Taekwondo Federation, as you can see there on the side screen. And that is actually, some of the people are on there, like Ian Leaf is on there, Chris Davis, I think, is on there, or Andy Davis on there, a few other people, but most importantly myself, Mark Ford, a guy called Lee Hayes. We all now have got 8 dans. So we've kept going. So something strange was occurring then, and this was an interesting group. So that's where we moved on to, really. And so I joined BTF. This is before BTCB and BTF ran parallel with each other. And I ended up being part of what was called, before that was London Division, which was the school that Frank Massa was in with his brother Jeff, Adrian Syrian, and many other people. And yeah, this is when we started out. So centre back is me, the spotty kid at the back, 17 years old. Down the bottom is Mark Ford, Meng Ken on the far left. And the guy next to Meng Ken is a chap called Joe Brown. And some of you may know Gareth Brown, who's now an Olympic coach. And the guy on the far right, back row, is Chris Yates, and he founded it. So it's his fault that we formed this Taekwondo group. I think pretty much every single person in that group got a black belt, which is
wow,
pretty good indeed. Yeah. And
what was that year? That photo been taken, Master?
That's 1978, I think, approximately. Yeah. 70. Wow. I used to train in a judo suit because I couldn't get a Taekwondo suit my size. I think the only one that came through the door was far chap on the far right. Mark got it, but I couldn't get a judo suit in 190 because I had long arms. So a Taekwondo suit in 190. So yeah, and that's all before Taekwondo suits were popular. Taekwondo wasn't popular in the UK. To get a black belt to teach Taekwondo was unheard of. They didn't exist. I mean, Ming Ken was only lucky. We're lucky we found him. And he was a cool dude. Yeah, and then I moved over. So I left Chung Do Kwon for a brief stint, and I joined this chap in the middle there called Yoon Jong Hee. And Master Yoon had clubs in London, but we all, so Paul Mahoney far right, Mark Ford centre to the second from the right, and then James Cowan and myself. So that is 1988. How about that? So it took me 10 years to get a black belt. Now you get it in a couple of 3 years, maybe, if you are diligent. But in those days, you could in Korea you get it in a year, but in the UK it's like there's 1 or 2 gradings a year. So I mean, I was 6 years as black tax, partly because I changed schools, partly because I was studying dentistry. But most importantly, we all got there in the end, which is an important thing. So that's our first dance, and still going strong, believe it or not. So,
Masa, how was the Taekwondo training experience looks like back then?
You trained so madly that if you weren't vomiting in the corner sometimes, you weren't training hard enough. We were mad. I mean, the guy, James Cowan, who was the third dan there, was transferring over from ITF, and he used to train with Master Ree Ki Ha. And Master Ree was the boss of Scottish Taekwondo, and they brought Taekwondo to the UK. Like Jun Ree took Taekwondo to America, and of course he trained with Bruce Lee, and he trained Chuck Norris and a few others. The funny thing is that Jun Ree, who I was lucky enough to meet actually, was one of the disciples of Taekwondo that left in the first wave that travelled out across the world to try and sell Taekwondo to everyone. That's the next one there. The photograph you've got up now is me with the Olympic gold medalists, the female and male ones. So there's myself, and then Mark Biddlecombe next to the tall guy, and the lady in the middle, then Darren Lorraine, who's still going strong, and then Dr. Pat Donnelly on the far right, and Coach Kim Se-yuk is the one that is there, the white head coach. Little did I know that I was going to become a top referee and would face him many times across the mat, and he was scary as anything, but he knew who I was, which was quite interesting. But so that was in the Cookie one before it had air conditioning in 2000. How about that? 2001, sorry. Yeah.
So from 1978, we jump on to 2001.
Yeah, well, you did that. No, I didn't do that.
That's all right.
There are many other photos. I just gave you some smattering of stuff. But the fact is that by that point there, I'm still Chung Do Kwon. Marcus Chung Do Kwon, Darren and Pat aren't wearing the badges, but they're Chung Do Kwon as well. And that was Chung Do Kwon Great Britain. And at one point, Chung Do Kwon Great Britain was offered the mandate for the Olympics and the British Taekwondo BTCB, or Chung Do Kwon was offered to Vincent Chong, and Vincent Chong turned it down. And you know, my only dream was that I would just keep doing Taekwondo at that point. And you know, it's one of those mad things. I'm still doing it some 40 plus years later. You know, it's quite amazing, really, to say I've been there. So that is my third visit to the Cookie one there. So I've now been to the Cookie one 27 times, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to be in the Cookie one with you, Master. Hopefully, very soon.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Let's go next year. I mean, I think Master Ezra wants to go. I think Safi wants to go. I think everybody wants to go and do stuff there. You got to do it for your test. You go for a test, and then you go back with bigger memories. You know what I mean? You know, the most important thing is that we're following the footsteps of many, many important people on that course. That course in 2001. I was lucky enough to be, well, Park Hae-man was my grandmaster. Okay. It's about 1985. I met Park Hae-man. He came over again in 1995 for the Chung Do Kwon World Championships held in Imperial College in London. And that's where I met Grandmaster Cha Sok Park, Dr. Cha Sok Park, who became the president of PATU and was a bit of a superstar. He ran as president of World Taekwondo, but Chung Won-chu beat him. So he was a pretty cool dude, really. But again, he was a judo man, and he liked the fact that when I met him first, he was throwing me around like a rag doll, and And I said to the a master who was with me at the time, Dong Jinbei, and I said, why does he like me? And he goes, "You fall well." So I was actually being thrown around and falling very well. But yeah, so I mean, to be honest, that course was run by Kim Sun-bae and Lee Jong-woo, who I met Kim Sun-bae in the UK, and he was the head of Cheng Wu Kwan. I was very lucky to spend time with him, dinner with him, and he remembered me. And Lee Jong-woo was the Jido Kwan president at the time, and it was the last course that the presidents taught on. So it was a big honor to be trained by the people that wrote the pattern. So Park Hae-man, Lee Jong-woo, Kim Sun-bae, they wrote the Pumse Teguks, and that's why I'm still doing it, probably, to be taught by the best. You can't do any better than that.
You all doing it.
Next question. Come on, next question. Carry on. We're still going.
Let's back to your early taekwondo stage. Was there a particular moment when you realized taekwondo would become your lifelong path?
It's funny. I'm saying this. I gave an answer earlier, and I showed it to my other half, and she went, "That's not an answer. It's a light bulb moment. It's a moment where the light goes bing above your head, and you go, I must keep doing this." And I think everyone has one of those. And sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it hits you like a brick in a sock. With me, I think I found that I had faster reactions. I suddenly realized it doesn't make you a superhero or something like that. But what it does do is it moves you into a different place. Normal people cannot do what Taekwondo people do. It's like becoming I do think it's like becoming a superhero. And that my light bulb moment was when I suddenly realized that I was better mentally. I was physically much, much fitter. Everything comes free with it. And I think that's the thing you've got to remember is that Taekwondo is different for all people. But for me, is like an 11-year-old asthmatic, knackered, skinny little boy to build into something that weighs 90 kilos or 85 kilos in those days, is a Taekwondo player, then you realize that you're actually going the right direction. If you want to know what the picture that Master Cameron has just posted up online now is me with Mark still and Darren. So it proves that a number of years, like 20 years later, we are still doing Taekwondo, and we're becoming first class or second class for Darren and first class examiners for Mark and myself. And the guy in the middle next to Mark Middlecombe, is now the current president, President Ung. So basically he is the new president of the Kukkiwon, and we're very lucky to know him. He actually let us have a master's course in the UK when he was the then president of the academy. But in reality, he is now the president, and they've just removed the title as president from the Taekwondo Academy. They're now called them vice president. So the vice president of the Kukkiwon is in brackets, the chairman or president of the academy, and it's now Grandmaster An has now taken over. So he is the new president of the Kukkiwon Academy, but that's called a vice president. So we're very lucky to know him, and he taught me on the course in 2000 and 2001. So the history continues. I'm very, very lucky indeed. And yeah, as you can see, we had a good time. And yeah, we got trained by the best, and that's what you can only ever ask for.
I managed to meet with some of these grandmasters as well in my master instructor course, and
Grandmaster Bora is in there. Of course, he is yes. Top man. I actually wrote a piece for Taekwondo and Korean martial arts, and I said, I'm going to go to Korea. Is it okay if I quote you in it? Because he went and did whatever it was he did there at the time, probably aged down, I would think. And he took his wife along, and he wrote a very, very interesting piece. And I really went to Korea partly because of Grandmaster Pan Simwoon Pan, God rest his soul, and Grandmaster Bora. And the other guys who taught us on that course are the bosses. And that's the most important thing. It's you cannot miss out on that, you know what I mean? Kwang Wan Ko, of course, far right, has just posted that Miro Bresnan has died, which is very sad. So a very sad moment to all of you. Just say, hope you're okay somewhere up in heaven later. But basically, Grandmaster Kwan Wan Ko is a very good guy. So yeah, we're very lucky indeed to meet these people and train with them, and that's important. Okay, next question, Cameron. Go.
Going back to your early beginning taekwondo journey, what
Yes.
challenges did you face in your early years, and how did you overcome them? Because that will help the beginners to overcome their obstacles as well.
I think there's a stigma, and I do mean this, a wall or whatever put up against other martial arts. Oh, my martial art is best, or my martial art is better than yours, or I do this or I do that. The fact is, there's no martial art better than another one. The thing that is important to remember is, I was told once, well, Men Ken said it actually, the martial art chooses you, you don't choose the martial art. So you walk through the door and it's like going to a shoe shop and getting a pair of shoes, and you go, my goodness, this is a great pair of shoes or a great pair of trainers. And you go, that's it, that fits me. Guess what? Taekwondo fitted me. I have long legs, long arms, and I think that comes across quite often. You know, if you've got a big reach or you've got long legs, it's a handy thing to have. And I've got to say, I've still feel that way. So yeah, so what would I say to you? Don't let people put you off doing Taekwondo, and don't let people say, oh, you should do Jiu-Jitsu, or you should do MMA, or you should do anything. Okay, what I suggest is you first become proficient in one martial art, whichever that may be, and then turn that into the martial art, or turn that into another martial art. If it doesn't quite tick your box, do another one. Change tack. Never be ashamed to get off the horse and change race. But the only thing you can't do is change kwans. You stay in the same kwan forever. It's like being a member of a biker gang. You cannot change kwans. So my school is Chondo Kwan, first school of Taekwondo, regardless what anyone says. And,
So was mine, master.
And yours. Well, it has to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I will not let you out. I always say to people, I have witnesses to this. When I was in the car with Grandmaster Dr. Charles Park, and I was with Beverly, Bev, and also with Graham Jones, who's a chap from Southampton Taekwondo. He's 85 now. And he said, you leave Taekwondo, I kill you. And I leave Chondo Kwan, I kill you. And I went, and then I realized this is getting serious. I am now in a very interesting group. So I can never leave my Kwan. My Kwan is mine forever. The Kwan is your own. It's in your heart. You can write whatever you want to anywhere. But at the end of it all, this is my school. But most importantly, is it gives a lineage. You've got an understanding of the people who are in it. Some people, unfortunately, now buy their rank. I've never bought mine. I've always earned it. Everything's done to time. Everything is correct. But there are people who try to zoom ahead, and you can't do that. But yeah, so what I would say to you is simply find a martial art that suits you. Taekwondo is the one for me, okay? But realize that a human being has 2 arms, 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 pairs of feet, maybe a head if you need a headbutt, but somewhere in the middle of it all, it's just variations of a theme. But as was said to me by Dr. Park, he said, remember, you choose your martial art according to what fits your physique. So my grandmaster, Dr. Charles Park, was a silver medalist in the Olympics. I didn't realize. I knew he was, but I didn't know Dave Starbrook was. So he said, if you think of doing a martial art or any sport as dropping a pebble into a pool, and it get ripples that ripple out. Okay, it's the same principle. If someone's really close to you, bite them. You know, if they're really close to you, headbutt them. You can use your shoulders, you can use your elbows, you can use your fists, you can use your even your chest if it comes to it. You use the whole of your body as a weapon, but somewhere in the middle, we've got to remember this is a martial art. So then further out, when it goes past the reach of your arms, it's your legs. And then further out than that, you run like mad. But he said, I can throw people. I do locks because he did Hapkido. I'm second down in Hapkido. And of course, he did swords as well. Of course, that gives you another 3 feet of reach. If you've got a sword in your arm, suddenly you become very invincible. And so you've got many martial arts that come together to make the true warrior or the true martial artist. And I think everyone forgets that now everyone's doing Pumse to win a Pumse competition. Yeah, but Pumse for a competition is not doing Taekwondo. It's for Pumse, for impressing people. I can kick vertical, great, but it's not going to save you in a fight. So somewhere in the middle of this, I've gone completely off the rails here. I would say basically, basically, most importantly, you really, really, really have to find the bits that suit you in that martial art and use them to your best of your abilities. And don't let people put you off, and don't let people go, oh, I do jiu-jitsu, it's better than taekwondo. Wrong. I do judo, it's better than taekwondo. Wrong. It's different. It's different paths, all to the same door. Attain a black belt, become an expert if you can, become as good as you can up to the level you get to. You may only want to get a yellow belt. You may only want to get a blue belt. But believe it or not, that could be perfect for you. So, I mean, I'm not going to say you must get a black belt. It's a long journey. If you want to start this journey, accept what comes with it. And it is actually, you're going to bore people stupid. You're going to talk about it all the time. You're going to try and follow different paths within that package. Yeah, there's a lot attached to it. I recount what Park Chasok said to me. Dr. Park said, if you just do Kyorugi, just do fighting, then you're like a piece of glass. You have a front and a back, but there is nothing in between. Okay. Yeah. If you do Pumse, you've got a front and a back, but there's nothing in between. If you do everything, you understand the history of Taekwondo, you understand where it came from, you understand the philosophy of Taekwondo, you know, etiquette, modesty, perseverance, self-control, indomitable spirit, all comes together. Then you've got to say, why did they form Taekwondo? Taekwondo was designed to save people, to defend people. Okay. Then we're going to say, well, we've got fighting, Kyorugi, we've got Kyukpa, breaking boards. We are going to maybe be a bit acrobatic if you want to go down that path. But somewhere in the middle of all that, it comes together to make a whole package. And then Dr. Park said, run a club. It's no good if you don't run a dojang and pass on your knowledge. If you don't pass on your knowledge, you're just doing it for service to anyone. And then finally he said the most important thing is become a referee and become a patron of the martial art. And I'm a referee of the highest level, probably. I'm very lucky to be known many places in the world. And then he said the most important thing that I always say to people is it's one thing to just be a piece of glass, but it's another thing to be a diamond, because when you have facets and you do all of it, you sparkle. So sparkle. There we go. How about that?
Yeah, you inspired me.
I try to sparkle.
Yeah, international.
Well, but I tell you off. That's the difference. There's a difference. But you don't know, anybody watching doesn't know that Cameron goes back a long way with me. I'm very lucky that many people do. I have helped people and I do things for people. But most importantly, is I only help the people who deserve it, and I only look after. I stop looking after people who don't deserve it. And you have got to earn the right to be in my world. I leave you with that thought. How about that? Anyway, next question.
I just wanted to add two things, Master. You mentioned about the black belt. Yes, some people in the world, yes, they got black belt, but they don't have that quality to hold the black belt. But there's some they bias. This is a talk of the Taekwondo world at the moment, anyway. So it's very important. Yeah. People to get black belt who actually deserve to be a black belt. I'm proud and privileged that I got a grandmaster like yourself, Master, to be my mentor. I've got all my then exams recorded, and they all are video recorded. So if anyone wanted to see my then how I get my den, I can actually prove them. And this is basically, I got it because I always spend time with true grandmasters like yourself all the time. And even though if I face any problem, anything I require, I always knock you, and you are always there to help and support me. I'm very privileged, and thank you for that, Grandmaster.
Thank you.
Move on to the next section, which we talk about the career highlights and personal philosophies.
Right.
You have trained for decades. What are some of your most memorable moments or achievements in Taekwondo, Master?
Oh God! I mean, I got a bronze medal in the U.S. Open, which was in those days. Chondokwon won in that format, but there were a lot of very famous masters there, and I got a bronze there. And I was very proud of that. And I wasn't even going to compete. I was only going there to referee. And I said, well, can I compete? And they said, yes. So I got a bronze in that. I got a bronze in the Pumse, which was quite good. So I've got 2 bronze medals from a US Open, which is pretty good going. I've got gold medals for some open competitions and things years ago. Fought one Korean, beat him. That was cool. The gold medal. But the most important thing is that Yeah, those heavyweight days. I was 40 at the time. Let's point this out. I'm still fighting, but I'm quite a long way into my career. But the funny thing is, you've got to have a point where you know where you stop and things like that. But I did Pumse competitions. I've got a silver from the Irish Championships. I came second to Damien Duffy in the Irish Pumse. So I have competed. So I think one thing a lot of people will say is that many people become referees, but they have not been a player. And I have been at the highest level, and I fought European champions. I've walked away from a match where Lennox Carty basically decked everybody in a championships, and I was the only person to leave the ring upright, which is a claim to fame, and he holds that still. He still knows me well. So, that's a claim to fame, really, for me. I'm very lucky that I've been allowed to do all this. But most importantly, my moment is I actually became an international referee in Edmonton in Canada. And believe it or not, I was there with the very, very best Koreans. So I was there with Lee Won-Kook. He became a referee with me. Lee Won-Kook, probably one of the best taekwondo players of all time, in my mind. Another one, I was there with An Yong-Gu-an. He was the guy who ran as president in the last elections, who I think would have been a fantastic president. Don't get me wrong, President Ang is great. But Yong-Gu-an was the president of Hankook Chede, as in the Korean school, the Korean Taekwondo university. So basically, he was cool, and he spoke English, which is sad that he didn't get it. But never mind, life goes on. But yeah, so from my point of view, I became a referee in 1999, and there were some 300 Koreans were in Edmonton. So I got to meet and rub shoulders with the best Korean people in the world, best Korean referees. And it's never been bad for me. So that is now 1999. So it's 26 years ago, I became a referee. I've been very lucky that I traveled the world. And on the back of that, the most important thing you say is, what did you get out of it? Well, I refereed in the first Korean Open, which was held in 2005. I refereed in Crete in the Junior Worlds. And then I refereed in Madrid in Spain in the World Championships. So I've done 10 World Championships in total. I did the first para championships in Azerbaijan. And many people can't even say they've done that. So I'm very, very lucky that I've been allowed to be in all these places and go and do it. And to be honest, many people will never achieve now what I've done, because there are so many people who are referees. Whereas when I started out, there were some 3,000 referees. I think it's over 4,000 referees now. That's a lot of people to choose from for it, It
is very competitive nowadays, Master.
Oh, absolutely. And you have to earn the right to get there, and you have to earn points to be there. I'm very lucky that I'm S-class. I don't have to earn anything anymore, So people who I became an international referee with was Grandmaster Frank Massa. He's 9th dan. Of course, Bill Huggins and Ann Huggins are USA referees, but they both qualified with me, and they've just both got their 9th dans this year, which is as cool as it gets. So 9th dan international referees, how cool. Frank Massa, international referee. On top of that, I did it with Ansem Mahmood. So some of you may know Grandmaster Mahmood. He was my coach when I was a player. And so therefore, I can't say too much about him, because I've known him 40 years, easy. And that's it. As well as that, Stephen Graham, Chong Pham, Randy Waitman, all these people went on to become Steve Dring. They all went on to become top Olympic referees and top referees, which is as cool as it gets. And we're all Grandmaster Charsot Park's people. So we're all trained by him, which is pretty damn good, really. But yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to do stuff. I mean, I've got to say, it's nothing really that stands out, because it all stands out. Every single thing is different each time. Doing the Spanish, I've refereed in the Spanish Open. I've refereed in the Dutch Open. I was still refereeing at nearly 2 o'clock in the morning at one Dutch Open, because they had more players than they had in the World Championships. I got to referee Gladys Apangu, who probably is one of my favorite players of all time. I've refereed Stephen Lopez. I've refereed dear me, I can't think. A few Dutch players. I've refereed Barry Tanrakulu, which is top player in my book. You know, he Olympic players. A personal friend of Daba Modiba Keita, who, because we've nearly got the same spelling name, Keith and Keita, but he's amazing, and he was in the Olympics in London. I did all the Olympic selections for London 2012. Proud moment. I never got the Olympics. I tried for 3 Olympics and failed 3 times. I was reserve referee for Beijing. Unfortunately, nobody pulled out. It depends what you want from your world. I mean, for me, refereeing is not the be all and end all. I think sport taekwondo is not the sport I stand up to in the first place. In my day, people don't argue over headshots. People are knocked out from headshots.
That is very true.
It is. You can't say, "Oh, he hit his face." Well, the bloke's still standing. His head isn't going round and round. You know. Whereas you have something like the most momentous moment of taekwondo in my book, and my personal friend is Moon Dae-sung, and Olympic gold medalist. He was in Greece, in Athens. He is fighting basically Alexandros Nikolaides, and he had ripped his hamstring. He had 1 kick left in him. I've actually sat down and talked with him about this. And he said, I had 1 kick left. And he said, I'm a very Christian guy. And he said, I made a prayer. And he said, I prayed to God. And I said, God, do you remember David and Goliath? Well, I am David. And he got up and he did the best kick of the universe, of the world. And that's why taekwondo in my book is still in the Olympics, because that 1 kick nearly removed Nikolaides' head. The whole crowd was cheering Nikolaides, a bit like the gladiators. And then out the blue, the wrong person won. And this Korean guy knocked him out, basically. And if you've never watched it, find it on YouTube and watch it. It's a moment. And I knew them both personally. I knew Nikolaides' brother as well. Sadly, Nikolaides died last year, was this year. But either way, sad. But Moon Dae-sung is still around. Moon Dae-sung and I know each other quite well. I collect heavyweight players because I was a very bad heavyweight player, but I collect the good ones, mostly Olympians. And I've got to say, Moon Dae-sung is top man, absolutely brilliant. And I mean, it is pretty good to not only know these people, but also be respected by them. And I've been very lucky to be respected. I was actually at the training camp with Moon Dae-sung before he went to the Olympics. And I think very few people have even go through the door of a Korean Olympic training camp. They had armed guards outside, and I'm going to myself, this is as good as it gets. And I'm very proud to say I've been in all these places. I should, camera, leave it there. Just leave it at that for that bit. Next question. I need to explain something about my history. I need to explain about my dojang. Can I do that? Say to me, what about your dojang, Master Evans?
We will come back to it in a minute.
No, just say what about my dojang. I must explain, how did I become where I am? Okay, this is where it all kicks off. This is the important part. And I love taekwondo. I had a little junior taekwondo club in Bournemouth. Bournemouth is a small, sleepy seaside town. But the bottom line is that I was very lucky to be able to have a dojang there. And I started out as a junior dojang Saturday mornings, of which I trained up 4 British champions. I did really well, and I got better and better. I was refereeing, coaching, and my kids were brilliant. And that was pretty cool, really, to say the least. But then I moved over to run the senior taekwondo school. And the senior taekwondo school became Bournemouth Taekwondo Club. And then Bournemouth Taekwondo Club became Dorset Taekwondo. Dorset Taekwondo, well, my dojang exceeded probably at one point about 500 members, I would think. So it's pretty cool. I think Bournemouth had 100 plus, 150, 160. And now that club is run by Darren Lorraine. So he took over Bournemouth Taekwondo / Dorset Taekwondo. Still there are allegiances with New Milton Taekwondo, which is where I am now. And all of it comes together to form a group that was very, very sound. But the big thing about it was there was Korean English language schools in Bournemouth, and they would bring Korean masters to my door. So out of the blue, they would knock on the door and there would be interesting Koreans. The first interesting Korean I got was a chap called Dongjin Bae Dongjin. He lives in England. now, and he is
Yeah,
the
with
idol.
Grandmaster and Grandmaster Bay in
Yeah,
our.
well, he made me want to keep doing taekwondo. We sat down one day and I showed him all of this. He said, in Korea we have KTA and we have a few kwans, and the universities. I said, good. I'll show you what it is in England. I drew about 50 different things on the screen of the car because it was misting up. And he went, how do you organize taekwondo? I said, good question. And so anyway, so what happened was he came to my dojang. He was in the 88 Olympics display team, was Korean champion. He'd been in the Korean Navy. And at the same time, there was another guy called Myung-woo Nam, Master Nam, who was in New Malden in Surrey, and the two of them had never met. I introduced them to each other, and it turned out they'd actually done their master's course at the same time together in the Kukkiwon. So now we're starting to form a group, a collection, and the two of them were exceptionally good taekwondo masters. They trained with Park Hae-man. They impressed him. He was thrilled to bits with them. But the funny thing was that they'd never met because one was Navy and one was Army, and the two don't mix in Korea, but they do when they come to the UK. And so on the back of that, my Taekwondo school used to get a continual stream of top Koreans. We had Master Park come and train with us, whose brother was Olympic gold medalist. He was just an average average player, still better than anything we got in the UK. Dong Jin Bae, British champion. On the back of doing this, he won the British Championships. He also he came second in Pumse to Kon Halpin. That's a weird one. But anyway, long story short, all these masters came through my door. So over the next 20 years, different Korean masters came through the door, from Athens Olympic display team members to people who now run the Kukkiwon. So Master Na, Yongjip Na, who was Korean Hankuk Chede University graduate, came to my dojang and basically became part of my life. Another guy who was a very cool dude was Master Kim, Jong-soo Kim, who came, and he now runs in the Kukkiwon as well. So these guys were trained in my dojang, and I turned them round to want to keep doing taekwondo. Master Na was a junior player, and he said, every time I played, I only ever got the silver medal. He has got gold medals, but he said, I only got a silver medal. And I said, why? And he said, well, I was too interested in swimming and doing other things. And then, and he said, whenever I lost, my father would hit me. And I went, oh no. But when he came to my dojang, he started liking taekwondo. And on the back of that, he was being prepared to go back to either World Taekwondo Federation or go back to the Kukkiwon. So these guys all spoke good English. They all trained with me, and they went on to do great things. Woon-ki Leo Kim, who works for the WT, has also worked for the Kukkiwon, is one of my boys as well. So basically all these Korean lads were coming through the door and being taught to drink Guinness, do taekwondo with English people, and hopefully being inspired to carry on and do great things. I hope to goodness sake they are. Sungun Park, who is now vice president of Bulgarian Taekwondo, is one of my students. So all these people carried on to do great things. And that's all because of this little tiny dojang in the south of England where they were inspired. And I think this is the important thing, is there's a certain amount of inspiration, a certain amount of perspiration, but there's definitely a lot of passion for the martial art. And I think that's why we're still going, really. And that's it. Yeah.
Just to include, just to share one information with you, Master. My referee journey started from Dorset Taekwondo as well. I first qualified as a third-class referee in British Taekwondo, and the training was in Dorset Taekwondo. And we, myself and Safi, we travel all the way to Bournemouth, and because it was the club, our grandmaster.
And that's with Darren. With Darren or
yes,
with me?
It was Darren. Yes.
Yeah.
Darren, yes.
And Master Darren is my student. You remember
yes.
that? Everyone remember. Yeah, and I still tell him off. I still tell him off because that's the way it works.
Yeah,
and that's what it's about.
Trained with him my master course, and also I did train with him for Pumse judges course as well. He's a brilliant guy. I spent good quality time during British Nationals several times, and also in the World Championship 2019 in Manchester. can you describe? Let's move on, Master.
See?
Right.
Maybe
uh,
there should be a part 2 to this. I don't know what it's going to be. We'll work it out for better next time.
right,
Go on
okay.
then, carry on.
Can you describe your personal training philosophy, Master? What do you emphasize most in your teaching?
Well, I still say stretch. I stretch almost daily, but I ride bicycles as well, which is not good, but it's good for cardio. I was training up for a marathon last year, but unfortunately my mother broke her hip and that slightly put paid to it. But I ride long distances on bikes, so I do 100 miles on a bicycle and things like that. Some people say it's mad, but also my training philosophy though is I stretch. I do pumses at least maybe once, maybe every other day, probably for pumse at the moment. But from January, it'll be daily. I have to be 110%. Having been in Korea this summer, I did a first-class master's refresher course, and it brings home how much you've got to do to get up to that level. Many people think that you can be a 9th Dan or an 8th Dan or a 7th Dan or 6th Dan, but unless you're getting on a mat, unless you're actually physically doing something, don't bother. I mean, I teach dentistry, but some of my students do mixed martial arts. I've got 3 black belts at the moment who I train with sometimes. But I can put my foot on top of, there's a wall where I work, and I can put my foot on top of the wall, and they're all so impressed with the fact I can do this. I do a front split still and things like that. And that's the thing. If you haven't got mobility, you look silly. And I think that's what I would say is even regardless of anything else, mobility. I mean, I was training in London. I've trained 7 weeks on the trot now in the last, up to Christmas, gradings, you name it. Of course, the University Taekwondo Championships, I was head referee for that. So I referee still. I still have a foot on the mat, as they say. I still get annoyed when people do things wrong. I still try and correct people's pumses. I still try and correct stances. But I'm very lucky that I've done gradings, well, basically Weymouth, London, Glasgow online the other day. I did the high down test for British Taekwondo. I did the universities in between. So I've been pretty constantly up to Great doing stuff up to Christmas. So this is a nice break for me. But the thing is, I trained in Korea this year. So I did not only instructor's course, refresher, I also did the self-defense course, which I'm holding the book with me next. I was looking at it earlier. Look at this. This is the Kukkiwon self-defense book. There we go. There's a new Kukkiwon manual out now. And they say Kukkiwon self-defense will be in 9th Dan, 8th Dan, 7th Dan as of next year. So they will be expecting people to do that on top of the line work as well. So there is a lot of changes happening in Taekwondo. Basically, it's what they call it is real situation Taekwondo, which I think is really cool. You can do Taekwondo and they go, oh yeah, but Taekwondo just has kicks. No, it doesn't. It has lots of stuff in it. And I think this is the thing. We've got to remember that Taekwondo is multifaceted, as I said before. So pretty good to go. Next one.
Yeah.
On, Cameron.
What's something about Taekwondo that most people misunderstand or overlook?
I think they think it comes free with I say this, and it probably wouldn't translate to Bangladesh unless you have cornflakes in Bangladesh. But it comes free with a packet of sweeties, or it comes free with a packet. You can just get a picture of it and suddenly you become it. It doesn't happen. You've got to live it, breathe it, and do it. And they say I can give you my black belt, but it will be absolutely worthless to you. I've got a certificate, a black belt over there from the past president of the Kukkiwon. But it's absolutely, Lee Dong-suk gave it to me personally. It's worthless. It's just a piece of cloth. It's not the cloth that goes around your waist. It's what's within that cloth. It is what you earn. It is what you become a black belt. You are a weapon. Someone told me something interesting about Italian Taekwondo the other day, and it was, yes, they call them white weapons. And I said, what do you mean by that? And they said, basically, when you've got a black belt, you become a licensed weapon. You don't need a gun. You don't need a knife. You're a weapon. I like that. I think that tickled me. I just thought, maybe we are weapons. But there again, if you're a weapon, you need to, one, know how to have the skills to use it, and two, you need to have the skills to keep it. Getting a black belt doesn't mean you're a black belt. Buying a black belt doesn't make you a black belt. You've got to be real, and that's the important thing. Sound good?
So, yeah, of course, Master. Well, from my perspective, so what I've seen people overlook Taekwondo, think like it's only a sparring, gerugi competition, rather nothing. but I believe it is a martial art. People should
Oh,
realize that
totally.
there are a lot of other things involved in Taekwondo. It's not only just Gerogi and Pumse attending or participating competitions.
Mm.
Yes, I'm completely
I
agree
think I
with
think
you.
the Hanmadang brings it home. If you do the Hanmadang, you realise people do pumse, they do self defence, they get up and they do aerobics, they do themed displays like the Cookie One display team, and you start watching that and you go, just maybe there's a lot more to it. And I've been very lucky that I've been amongst the highest Dan masters in Korea and the world. Eric Bart, many other people, Grandmaster Bora, Grandmaster Mahmood. They are now Hanmadang judges. Is a very high position to be in. I'm very lucky to be a Hanmadang judge. Very few people can say they've actually been to a Hanmadang. I actually had a go at being in the Hanmadang back in 2009, and then they said you have a choice. You can be a Taekwondo go to Leaders Forum, or you can do the Hanmadang. You do the Hanmadang any year. I did the Leaders Forum. End of story. So that was it, and that's me with Mark at the end. Are we coming up the end? I don't know. This is Mark Biddlecombe. Mark was 14 when I started Taekwondo, and I was 17. There you go, and we are still going strong.
I just put it on the stage.
Oh, cool. Well, that's actually these are the different schools outside the back of the Cookie One, which actually is on the Christmas card this year, believe it or not. So that's the Chongdakwon, basically the Chongdakwon pillar, the sign. It said the 9th Kwan, I think, on there, because the first time round Chongdakwon was first, the last time round they were the 9th. It doesn't matter. At the end of it all, they're all Kwans, and the Kwans all came together to film the Cookie One, and that's what we belong to. There we go.
Let's move on, Master, because you must.
How long do we go? Is there a limit, a time limit? Is there a time limit?
No, there's no time limit, but I know it's a holiday time. I don't want to hold you.
Well, of all things, my phone is about to die. Hold tight. I will turn my camera off. I'll come back. I'm going to try and get a charger. Hang on.
Yes, Grandmaster Keith Evans went for a charge. Give us a second. You will be back shortly.
Let's see if this works. This is not good. Not good. Not good. Battery. Right. Okay. Here we are. I'm back. First, we try that one. There we go. Sorry about
you're
that.
back, Master.
Only for about. I've got 11% on my charger, and I have to move around a bit if I have to go and plug it into the Wayne. So don't worry, we'll get there. Okay.
No, that's all right.
Sorry
Master.
about that. The other one wouldn't work.
Moving on to next section, Master. Which would be advice for the practitioners. What advice would you give to someone who is just beginning their Taekwondo journey? For practitioners hitting a plateau, what mental or physical strategies can help them break through?
Well, first and foremost, if you're going to, when you start out, don't ever think you're going to be an expert in 10 minutes. It doesn't happen. I think basically you start with one form. If you can perfect one form, you have your foot on the mat. I had a very bad car accident. I got road guards on a motorbike, a car hit me and I nuked my leg and I couldn't walk and things. And I went to medical Tai Chi, Qigong and Pakwa. And the funny thing about Pakwa, and I ended up doing that. And the funny thing is that the whole short form of Tai Chi is about 160 moves. And that's about the same as all the Pumses put together. So suddenly you realize, well, wait a minute, you become an expert of Tai Chi, you have to learn all these patterns. And we're looking at 18 moves for 2 at 1, and then somewhere in the middle of it, or you turn around and go, actually, there's a lot more to follow on from that. So really, if we put all the moves together, then it achieves exactly the same as Tai Chi would do. So start with one form, perfect your moves, perfect your techniques, perfect your timing, and then move on. And I think I always think about, even down to the fact that I've been with many grandmasters who I have seen who just teach people to punch. And you go, what? And then you realize that even just a stance and the punch and the basic kick is the grassroots of that taekwondo. And I think this is the thing. I think many people don't appreciate that there's many stages to learn it. They think you can just get it instantly. It doesn't happen. It's the world of TikTok. It doesn't happen in that world. It only happens in your head. If you look at a movie star that's going to do a martial art film, they don't do it in 5 minutes. They go and study for it. It took me a year to get good enough to do the part. That's what they say. It's like Keanu Reeves doing John Wick. He doesn't do it in 10 minutes. He goes and trains full on. And I think that's the big difference, is the fact that these people train very hard to get to where they get to. But after a while, it becomes natural. It's like, it's anything you do. Initially you get up in the morning and you don't realize how life works, but then initially, then it slowly gets better and better. And when you start a job or you start a new thing, it all slowly becomes ingrained or part of you. Okay. And I think it's the same with Taekwondo. Taekwondo needs to be slowly but steadily added to. And well, ultimately you get the right thing out of it. And I think that's the important bit. And I think that's the bit that we all forget, is that it's a slow burn. It's not something you buy instantly. If you want to buy it, go and buy it, but it won't make you any good. I think it's more important that you actually the martial art, you become part of it. You become part of the Taekwondo, really. If you plateau, as you say there, I mean, the most important thing is that people realize it's something you've got to get over. Now, initially, some people say, I've given up Taekwondo, I don't like it anymore. Well, there you go. But I've met up with some people this Christmas who suddenly, out of blue, said, oh, I've got to go back to Taekwondo. I've got to start training. I'm living up in London now. I can go and train at Hadri, which is a club we know. I'm going to go and train there. I'm only 2 stops on the line up the road. And suddenly going, wait a minute, you haven't trained in 10 years. He goes, yeah, but I want to start training again. This is suddenly something's happened. This is it. Taekwondo doesn't have to be completed in one go. You can go back many years later. You can go back and pick it up where you left off. And it's funny, I've sent people to university and they go, oh my goodness me, the university club's rubbish here, but we so miss training with you. And I'm going, we only went to it because we knew what Taekwondo was, but we hadn't been to a club in a long time. And they went there and went, oh my goodness, wasn't our school really good? And I said, well, thank you. Why didn't you appreciate it when you were there? But the most important thing is appreciate every stage of doing it. And don't think that because everything has got harder, you can't get. And the biggest thing I see is many people stop at black tags. That last push is always the problem. They stop at black tags. Oh, I'm a black tag. Why didn't you get a black belt? Well, I moved, or I didn't like it, or I didn't like the instructor. Bite the bullet, go ahead, keep going, be brave. Remember, the only person that matters, Taekwondo doesn't matter to Cameron, doesn't matter to me, it matters to you. Well, whoever you're doing it with, or whatever, it's more important that it matters to the person doing it. And that's yours, it's your treasure. You can get as many gold medals as you want, but the most important thing is it matters to you. Yeah. And yes, maybe one thing at a time. Say, look, I used to keep a log for my refereeing, and it used to say, in this competition I did this, I must never do that again, or do this. I have a log at the moment for my 9th Dan. I have certain things, I've got certain goals, certain attainments I've got to get in the next year, and then the year after I've got to improve on that, because it doesn't stop, it keeps going. I said this, I did a black belt grading the other day, and I said to them, I used to use the analogy of mountains. You go up to the first mountain, you look up, your crumbs is so high to that first mountain, and you get to the top of the mountain, and then suddenly above it there's another 9 to go, or 8 to go, and you go, oh my goodness me, that's your journey. My analogy at the moment is flights of stairs. You've got to the first landing and then you look up and you go, oh my goodness me, there's another 8 landings to go. But that's the important part, is every person's taekwondo belongs to them. It doesn't belong to someone else. They can't take it away from you. You know, it's a funny thing, regardless of what religion it is. I think it says something like, store up your treasures in heaven. Don't store it in your, you can't take it with you. Whatever you've got, you can't take with you. You can't take the money that's in the bank. Guess what? It stays in the bank. You can't have it buried under the ground. It's not there. You've gone, you've passed on. But taekwondo is in your heart. It's part of you. And therefore, you can take that with you anywhere. And it's pretty cool. You know, you don't have to, you don't even need to wear a black belt. You just need to be able to do a few moves and just feel in touch with the universe. And I think that's pretty cool, really. And yeah, so that's my plateau problem. Get over your plateau by thinking there's more stairs up there, but I'm happy where I am at the moment, or I want to push through, or I want to keep going. I just find something that tickles you, makes you feel like, yeah, that's the next bit. Just if you've got one kick you can't do, work on that one kick. You've got one block you can't do, work on that one block. If it's one mental piece of your jigsaw puzzle that's not working, don't panic. It'll still be there tomorrow. Keep going. End of.
Yeah, from your conversation, it reminds me of one thing. I've been to Bangladesh last year to train referees in for the country, where I faced some situation that people, they started Taekwondo when the federation started. And then they didn't get updated their Dan grade. They become first Dan or second Dan. Still, they're holding the same Dan grade. So when they return back to participate in the seminar and keep saying, "Oh, I'm one of the senior students," but without realizing the fact that if you don't upgrade your Dan grade, you're not going to get the same respect to what you are expecting from others to respect you. So I believe people fall short and then they come back and they start saying disrespect seniors. So seniority doesn't relying on the age or on the seniority or junior in age, but it does relying on who actually hold the higher than grade. I think people should realize that.
I think you're right. I think it's stagnation. Experience is one thing. You have as many experiences as you like. I give you, for instance, there's many people who are top players who are Olympic medalists who haven't got the correct ranks they should have because they dedicated their lives to becoming players. Okay. There's, for instance, that Amy, who is the Paralympian gold medalist, they've changed the rules for her. She has the right of reduction of time because she has a gold medal. It's a 100% reduction of time, but that didn't exist for Paralympians, but it does now. So Amy Truesdale she's about to receive her 4th Dan and she will go straight to 5th Dan. And you know what? There's no more worthier recipient. But there are many people in the UK. I mean, I spoke to Sarah Stevenson, who has got medals from Olympics and things, and she's president of British Taekwondo. And I said, and she said, doesn't matter to me. And I went, but it should, you know what I mean? And we know other people like Kathy Hook, who is 6th Dan, Kukkiwon, 7th Dan national. The fact is, she was one of the top players in the country, and she's got medals to go with it, but she never used them. And there's a time limit on using that as well. Aaron Cook, Jay Jones, Bianca Walton, now Bianca Cook, they all need to use the rank, the stuff they've got. I mean, it frustrates me that it was never informed to them. Mohammed Cho, the same again. Yulatelo Mohammed, I don't know if he ever used his. His dad did the master's course 2008 with me. So he should have a bit more knowledge than most. He was about 16 at the time. He was my cameraman. It was really cool to have a future Olympian be my cameraman. But the fact is that, as you say, people in your country are boasting about their rank. There are people who buy rank as well, which frustrates me terribly. But unless you get on the floor, unless you keep going, you aren't doing it. Do you understand what I mean? It's got a name in Korean. I can't think what it is, but they actually use a term for it. It's you've got a black belt, but you've not done anything with it. And as I said, I was told to do something with mine. I'm very lucky that that I've managed to do it. But I mean, Harry Wake got his 8th Dan this year. Lee Hayes got his 8th Dan this year in the UK. But neither of them have ever done anything with it. They've become master. Lee Hayes became a master. Harry Wake, I don't think is. And so therefore, it's all well and good. And they probably find the people who you're talking about. I mean, I don't know what Dans they are, but no, to be honest, if you're going to shout about how good you are, please get your rank to go with it. You can do skip Dans over time scales if you can prove a reason why you didn't achieve what you did. I mean, I know somebody who was very, very ill and had to redo theirs. But you've got to be able to stand on the floor and prove that you can do it. And there are some parties from, we'll say where Pakistan who boast about how good they are and that their patents are not very good. I won't say who it is, but no, it's not not Master Mahmood. Please know he's okay. He did pass his test on the floor of the Cookie One. You can't fault that. But there are people out there who I've seen actually stand on the floor and go, "Oh no, you can't do this." And it's not just from there. Many other countries as well. If you're going to boast how good, say how good you are, be good. You know what I mean, and be able to explain it. I mean, I know you're good. I know that Master Safi is very good as well. I mean, you're my boys. I'm very lucky that within the group I've got something like 7 or 8 masters a part of it. That's maybe probably 9 masters. That's 10. Counting Chris, 10 masters are in my group. That's real masters.
Some of us are looking forward to become a grandmaster very soon.
One day, inshallah, as they say in your world. I mean, we're all going to manage it. We're all going to get there. I mean, it's something you earned the right to have, and you're going to definitely get it. I'll be horrible to you, I know. But, and if you've got a card that says master on it, you're not a master. You can boast about it as much as you like, but, you're still not a master, There are many people going, I'm a master this, I'm grandmaster that. I'm afraid to say, you're a black belt. That's the truth of the game. You know what I mean? And so, you have, if you read a Cookie One card, I'll hold it up, like it says 8th Dan, Cookie One Dan, 8th Dan, doesn't say master. So I have a Cookie One I have an 8th Dan registered in the Cookie One. You can have an 8th Dan registered by your local Taekwondo school, but it's only a piece of paper. Whereas unless it's registered somewhere, you can't physically have recognition. And I think that's an important thing. And then when you become the high level, which is now really 9th Dan to become first class master, but I'm very lucky that I was part of the 8th Dan group. So I'm last of the line of 8th Dans to get it. But on here, if you probably can't read it, but it actually does, it's back to front probably. It does actually say, is a first class international Taekwondo master. It says master. It doesn't say anything else. And you've got one that says the same. And that's the important thing to remember, is that you can boast about how good you are any way you like, but you get the respect from becoming a master. And I think there are a lot of people who have obtained the master qualification in the last few years who didn't realize the value of it. I mean, David Bailey has just done his 9th Dan. Big honor. I infinitely respect David. But before he did it, he did the master's course. I think it was, one of the other guys did it as well, from UK with his group. Is it someone Smith, Tony Smith, is it, or something like that? Anyway, the other one is Chun Sao. Those 3 guys went to do the master's course, so that's really good. 2 girls from Chondakwon went, Louisa, another girl went and did theirs this year, so they became masters. So these people are more masters within the UK, and the recognition belongs to them. They've stood on the floor of the Cookie One and have graduated. Mark and I just went for a refresher. That amazed the Koreans. They said, "But you're only here to do a refresher." And we went, "Yeah, why not?" They were amazed. And then I did the self-defense course, which was really cool. And again, they get a qualification for that. So all of this comes together to give you recognition and boosts the quality of your Taekwondo. If you don't stand around and you don't get up your backside and do something, guess what? You're just a black belt. You're just wherever you are in the universe, that's where you are. So please, 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 next time there's another course in Bangladesh, tell them to go on it. Have a massive course in Bangladesh. Talk to Jongsu Kim and just say, Grandmaster Kim, we want to have another course in Bangladesh. Go for it.
But Jongsu Kim is not a president anymore. But
no. Master Kim, as in from the Cookie One.
Oh yes, cool.
He can
Yeah,
arrange.
sorry,
Yeah,
Master.
or you can speak to Grandmaster Anne and say, Grandmaster Anne, I
Yes.
really want to have a course in Bangladesh. You know, please, can we
I'm
do this?
I'm really
You know?
I'm working on it, but the I haven't got any green signal from the federation. If the federation give me a green signal, okay, let's start rolling the ball, and then I can start working on it. We
But
are
it's a
still
new year.
having
I mean, yeah, it's a new
we are
group.
still
The president's elections just happened. You know, there's a new
yes,
head in
there
the
is a
academy.
massive
Yeah.
political situation is going on in Bangladesh. We will be having our general election in February, and after the general election, I believe the current ad hoc committee have to go through with some election process as well for the federation. So there is no I don't feel any positive thing about at the moment. The reason behind is the ad hoc committee will be changing after the election. So there will be a new committee step in, and then I believe the committee will be lasting for 5 years. Then they can plan their 5 years, and we can step in and then say, okay, let's start working on these things to organize some upgraded course in our country. I'm very positive, and I hope the country will understand and organize such a course. I don't mind to communicate through yourself, Master, with the Master Kim and others, Master Anne, to organize such courses. I have to wait for another few months. I believe that would be really helpful for the country. Moving forward, Master. What are some common mistakes students make, and how can they avoid them? And how important are mindset, discipline, and character in comparison to physical techniques, Master?
Everyone has problems to overcome. You know, everyone thinks they're cool. All I say is quite simply, get someone to video you one day, and you'll go, "Do I look that bad? Oh my goodness!" You know, I was refereeing against a member of the one of the guys from the Asian Games, who's actually at university in the UK, and I think he's Mongolian, and basically a pretty awesome player. But you only watch it, you go, oh, did I do that? Did I do that? And that's it thing. So same thing for your PUMSE, for your training. Get someone to film it. I definitely feel that somebody films you, photographs you, will give you an awareness of where you are. Remember basic techniques. Remember where you come from. Definitely try and get hold of a copy or see a copy of the Cookie One manual. It is really, really good. It explains a heck of a lot now. The new manual is exceptionally good. Of course, no one has an excuse anymore because of YouTube. You can go on YouTube and look up your first, second, third dan PUMSEs and see every single one done by a Cookie One master. I was lucky in 2018 to actually see them filming this. So, and it was done in a white tube in the Cookie One, and you can see exactly where it goes wrong. It explains the philosophy of that pattern. And I think that's the most important thing, is that you've got to understand these moves. If you understand the moves, you can do the rest. And in fact, the funny thing is that I was talking to a knight then in Korea, and he said, did you know that when they do the testing now, they judge your PUMSE on your top? They put their hand like that, and they judge your feet, and they put their hand like that, and they judge your upper body, and then they judge the whole thing. So they'll watch your moves in two separate groups, and they work out if your footwork matches your upper body, if the timing is right, and somewhere in the middle of that, you forget about PUMSE competition. We're talking about doing a test or learning the PUMSE. The footwork should be right. The basic movements should be right. Don't invent your own moves. Definitely don't think you're Bruce Lee. Definitely don't think you're going to fly on a flying side kick initially. Work up to it, or jumping front kick, work up to it. But it's very important that you understand where it comes from. It is quite important indeed. And so I think, yeah, definitely get your footwork right, get your hand techniques right, join them together, and then hopefully you'll look good. Always remember, you can always be better. Was it every day? I've tried to be better than I was the day before. So just always try and improve. And when you think you're really good, enter a competition and see how good you are. Yeah, sound good?
Yeah, I don't want to mention the person's name. There was a demonstration in front of audience, ambassadors. One of the guy, he did Jitte PUMSE. So I watched the PUMSE, and to be honest, I was shocked the way the PUMSE was. and as a judge, I start marking him, and he got accuracy 0 and
Oh
presentation
no!
1.5. And the
Oh
reason
my God!
behind
Don't
every
go there.
single star, every
People,
single
people forget.
stamp, and
But people forget that even in the cookie one, you have 8 mistakes. If you get to 9 mistakes, you're out. You fail. Okay, so that's a simpler way of judging it. Forget about doing WT Pumse competition. Just on a cookie one standpoint or a Hammerdang Pat standpoint, it gets mad. You know what I mean? And I should explain to the audience that I recently sat in on a grading, and we looked at a grading between us, and we both went, it could be better. And don't laugh, sir. And I again gave it to a female master who is a very lovely lady. And she said, I have had nightmares. And then she sent me a message, and he then said, I just watched it again. I'm definitely going to have nightmares. So please learn the pattern, look at the videos, and then correct yourself before you even start presenting it anywhere. But I mean, everyone can go wrong. Everyone can make a mistake at some point. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong in that. But yeah, we've got to just strive for improvement and perfection. We will never get perfection, but we can strive for improvement. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And that's
true,
on
Mark.
every front. Kurugi,
Yeah.
Pumse technique, breaking, self-defense. That's the whole across the board. There we go. All right, next one, sir.
Yes, that's before we move on to the next section, I just wanted to read one of the message audience ask basically. So let me read it through for you.
Yeah.
I'm doing my diploma right now. I am on my final semester. I want to be a professor, but I want to be with Taekwondo at all the time. So if I choose sports science for my future study like bachelor, master's, PhD, so will it take sense? Can I work for Taekwondo with sports science background?
Absolutely. Yeah. Where do I start? I have a degree in dentistry, okay, but I also have a master's in education. I also have a sports coaching performance science qualification as well, which I got at Bournemouth University. Very honoured to get that. But the most important thing is that I ran the University Dojang, but I teach dentistry now. But on top of that, I teach left-handed. I've also got a MA, basically a master's in teaching left-handed dentistry, which sounds really silly, but it isn't. So if you want to do sports science and you want to follow that path, it's not unheard of. It is possible. If you can find somebody who can be your mentor to do a PhD, then you're doing very well. If you get converted and you can get sent to you can get to Korea by some means, it would be good. I know of one person in university in Hankook Chede, David O'Sullivan, and he actually fought in the Korean Open in 2004, but he now is a lecturer, in fact, a professor at Hankook Chede. So, and he's Irish. So it is possible to do these things. Never say never, as they say. Master Na, Leo Kim, both graduated from Loughborough. So they both have masters of sports from Loughborough. So that's in the UK. So, you know, it is not impossible to do these things. I would suggest find something that is slightly different or beneficial. Definitely consider the para side of things, because I think that's the next big thing. Definitely look at the health and fitness side of things. Look at the health side of things. Many people forget that Taekwondo, there is in Korea, there's a big movement for aging Taekwondo people doing it. And there's Taekwondo for health. And there's even some ladies who are training in the Taekwondosium with Master Shin, Byung-Hun Shin. He actually has older ladies and sort of in their 50s training. So there's Taekwondo for health, Taekwondo for self-defense. I mean, the world is your oyster. You could do anything you want. So yeah, good luck. Yeah, keep me posted. Give me a shout.
Yeah, of course. I'm asking for that audience to keep contact with us anytime, whenever he requests any support or help. I just wanted to mention one of the students. He contacted with me. He's doing a thesis on his Taekwondo. So he contacted with me, and I really helping him to write your thesis, write his thesis for his graduation. So
Yeah.
hopefully, we only managed to write the literature review, but let's
Yes.
see, it's a long way to go.
Well,
Um,
believe it or not, in the UK, I should say this. In the UK, there used to be sports GCSEs. So when you graduated from school, you could choose a sport like football or hockey or something, and you could major in it, and you can have a qualification in it. I actually had a hand in the GCSE in Taekwondo. One of my students got it, and I think they then took martial arts out again afterwards. But because it was an Olympic martial art, they kept that in. It was in for a while. I don't. There was talk of it coming back again. So getting a qualification is one thing, but being able to use it constructively is definitely very important. There we go.
yeah. Moving on to our next section, Master, which is evolution and future of our Taekwondo. How have you seen Taekwondo evolve over the years, both in sports and traditional practice? What do you think about the current state of Olympic style Taekwondo? Should any change be made?
Right. Oh, don't ask me that question. I personally have been in part of all Taekwondo since it started out. I mean, 1988, I became a referee in the UK. I was very lucky to be trained by basically one of the Chondakwon masters who came over to do a course. We were very lucky to get the rules then. But in those days, it was 13 hand signals. That was mental. Things have changed drastically in sport Taekwondo. I don't like people scoring with what I call non-kicks. Raising a heel and doing a little slap with your foot is, to me, not a technique. Whereas a turning kick that is so hard that it almost kills somebody is pretty awesome. I did watch somebody in the World Championships. A guy got kicked, and the guy started counting, and I couldn't understand why the referee was counting. And that, to me, it made me think that referee didn't understand the power of the technique. Whereas someone who has got a headshot, you should always count pretty much. I mean, I've seen people hit so hard they can't even move. That's just a punch to the chest. There's an Armenian fighting a chap called Brian Kerr in the European Championships, and Brian Kerr got kicked in the face with a hook kick. He got up, and the Portuguese referee, Nuno Grossman, actually said, wow, he is a hard man. And the next thing, Brian put a punch in, and you can actually see the power of the punch at that point. And I think he put 450 kilojoules in, which basically was enough to drive a pillar into the ground. And the Armenian just looked at him and just went, oh, and I went, yep, you've just been hit. So definitely, if you're hitting it with a proper technique in the right way, strictly speaking, you should be able to register that hit. If people start arguing about, well, that was a headshot, or that was this shot, or that was that shot, I'm sorry to say, even with video replay, you're being very kind to people. But the big problem is with World Taekwondo is it's a head contact rather than a head shot, a knockout or something like that. So did that touch the face? Yes, it did. And I'm afraid to say that removes the Taekwondo for self-defense, Taekwondo to be used as a weapon, and it's turned into sport. And I think that's the subdivision of the two things, really, for me. Where do I see it going? I often wonder, I take a step back and I go, I do Taekwondo, Kukkiwon Taekwondo. I'm not so much of a sport Taekwondo person. I may do one more referee's course for the sheer fun of keeping my qualifications up to date. Because I'm S-class, I don't pay any fees. So I just got to go and do the course and pay for the course. Maybe one more time round. But I'm 65 years old now, and you've got to be fit. I think it's very unfair. If you want to be a referee, you need to be fit as the players. I think it's very unfair when people stand at the side of the ring and like a spectator. They're not a spectator. They are an interactive part. Although they shouldn't be part of the scene, they are controlling the scene. They're making sure of fair play. And if people forget that it's a martial art where people will try and do as many cheating methods as possible, we've got to make sure there's a policeman there. The policeman is the referee. So, and I think I pride myself on the fact I like to see fair play and I like to see Taekwondo done properly. But it's also got to be done traditionally for me as well. So you've got to have that. You've got to earn the right to be doing Taekwondo. At my level, I don't always appreciate how much I've put into it in order to get to where I am. Whereas you guys are still going up that ladder or on the flight of stairs to get to the next level. I think you've got to remember that Taekwondo is something that, if it's not ticking the boxes for you, then maybe it's not quite right. I mean, I can do refereeing, I can do sport play, but at the end of it all, I want to see Taekwondo done as proper Taekwondo, and I think that's the most important thing. Proper Taekwondo. Yeah, sound good, Cameron?
Yes, Master. Yeah, for me, actually, I like the way the Taekwondo changed, but sometimes few things I didn't like it. That fencing kick, I never liked it
Yeah.
when it uh, introduced in Taekwondo for Olympic Games. But it's a lot safer now than back in the days. It was a lot of bloodshed
True.
on the mat.
Oh, I can say this. I started out with bamboo inside my body armor, no head guards. There were no mats on the floor. All right. Even when I fought in America, there were no mats on the floor. Right. Now we've got mats that are designed to take an impact of 80 kilos from 6 feet. Great. That means the crush strength means you don't basically get killed hitting the floor. Bamboo used to not spread the load, and used to get broken ribs with it and things like that. And then it went to hose pipe, then it went to better hogus, then it went to electronic hogus. Do you know what? Much better. You know, sport play has changed. We're trying to encourage the fighters to compete. Best of 3 is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Best of 3 in 3 rounds makes it exciting, and also it's better for the referees because we don't stand there waiting for people to bouncy and do one kick and bouncy. Now they go boom, and we're going to try and see a point ceiling hit or something like that. From that point of view, much better. I would like to see score with proper punching rather than funny punches. I don't want to see monkey kicks, lizard kicks, banana kicks. I don't want to see chicken kicks. I want to see good Taekwondo. But at the end of it all, that's something we'll see in the next Olympics, hopefully. So take it from there.
Yes, Master. Thank you very much for the clarification. In your opinion, what is the future of Taekwondo in the next 10 to 20 years? Are you working on any personal projects, schools, or initiatives to promote Taekwondo?
My personal project is simple. 2 years ahead of now, from January. From January, I can test in 2 years' time for my 9th Dan. Unfortunately, somebody in Korea decided there should be 2 flying kicks in Ilio, which means I've got to leave the ground, which means at this present moment, weighing just on 90 kilos, maybe a tad over that, you've got to leave the ground. Sorry, Cameron, you've got to leave the ground.
Yes.
So you've got to physically be able to get up there. So that's first thing. Secondly, I want to be impressive. I do not want to do a Dan test and have people go, oh, he scraped through or something like that. No, I want to be impressive. I was told David Bailey was very impressive when he tested by people who were there. I want to be in that world. Mark Biddlecombe and I will be that good. We want to walk out on that mat. When we take our 9th Dans, people will go, no, he didn't try for a 9th Dan and scrape. He got a 9th Dan and made it. Whether I will definitely try to do another Hamadan course. I definitely want to be another Hamadan judge again if somebody will let me do it. I definitely got to keep fit. I mean, I'm 6'2". I weigh 91 kilos approximately. But you've got to be fit. To do Taekwondo, you've got to be fit. I do not want to be a fat Taekwondo master. I don't want somebody looking at me going, oh, look, he's fat. How does he do Taekwondo? I want somebody to look at me and go, oh, he's sporty or he's fit or he does, that's the important thing. So that's my personal mission. Bigger mission, probably I'm going to retire in the next couple of years. Definitely I will restart my Taekwondo school or help out Darren at his. I will definitely be doing more training. So, there is a future for my Taekwondo. I don't know what I do with it, where it goes with it, whether or not I help the Cookie One. I hope to goodness I'm still part of the Cookie One. I hope to goodness the Cookie One still wants me to be part of them. But at the end of it all, I have a black belt. I'm proud of it. I've earned it. And I do not want to be a paper tiger, as they say. I do not want somebody to go, oh, he does Taekwondo, but he doesn't do a lot of it. And I want to be able to stand up and go, I'm a real Taekwondo master. I've earned the right to be here. I do not want to be looked down on or frowned upon or laughed at. I want to be good enough. I mean, I know that I'm good enough, don't get me wrong, but I want to be better. But there are many people out there who talk the talk, but don't walk the walk. I want to talk the talk and walk the walk. How about that? That's my mission.
That's all I can see as well throughout my Taekwondo career, Master. You
Good.
Just not talking, you are working as well. for the development of this amazing martial art in the world.
Well,
Um,
I'll leave you with this thought. Okay, I have a little thought. In Korea, I was training, and they've got something called Yopki Toki. You might know it as Mashimaro. It's a little rabbit. It's a cartoon character from. It was used the mascot for the Korean football. But Mashimaro doesn't know it's a rabbit. Okay, so basically, it walks through the forest and it meets a bear, and he goes, "Hello, bear," and it starts eating the bear's dinner, and the bear goes, "I'm a bear," and the rabbit picks up a bottle of soju, and smashes on his head, and the bear goes, "Have my food, have my food. I am a Yopki master." That's what they called me when I taught in Korea with the children. They said, Yopki master, which means mad master, slightly strange. But that strange is good sometimes. And I like to think that maybe my enthusiasm or madness or whatever makes other people equally enthused, equally happy to do it. And I hope to God that, people follow me and keep doing the same things I do. That's it. End of story. Do not stop. Be cool.
Yeah, I always say to my followers as well, what you were seeing me doing is just a reflection of my master. So whatever I
Thank you.
learned from my master, this is what it is. Well, I am here to explain the true martial art. It's not whatever I say or whatever I do. My suggestion would be to you, go on to ChatGPT or AI, ask them what I says, and see whether I am true or not. If you really wanted to go through the AI process, or check on Google or wherever, see what it says. Go on to Cookie One's website, ask them. You will see whatever we are trying to explain to you guys. It's the true martial art we actually learned from the true masters as well. Moving on to the last stage of our today's webinar.
Yeah, it's time for my lunch. I haven't had lunch yet. Keep going. Come on.
Neither I do.
Good.
So it's going to be a fun and personal insights. What does your daily training or routine look like today? Do you still practice kicks or forms regularly? I know you mentioned stretching. If you could train with any martial artist from history, alive or past, who would it be and why?
Right. Okay. Two parts. First part. Okay. What do I do in the morning? When I go to work in the morning, I guess what? I've got a little folding bicycle. Okay. And I ride my little bike to work about a mile a bit, and I zoom to work and I get my pulse rate up and I start my day. Often when I get into my department, the dental department, there's nobody in it. So I just do a pattern, any pattern. Just think Ilio, Jite, something like that. Pyongwon fits very well in my lab. I can actually say I've done Pyongwon at 57,000 feet in a jumbo jet. So very few people can say they've done that. You can fit it in the aisle of a jumbo jet.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky that I do patterns for just fun. It's good. Okay. And maybe I've got a couple of nice planes of glass. I can check whether my height of my technique is right and things like that. Who would I train with? Oh, well, basically, I trained with, I would always love to train with Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee would be top of my list. I shared a lift with some Italian referees one time. I said, "Why did you start Taekwondo?" In Bruce Lee. Why did I start Taekwondo? I did an all-nighter one time watching Bruce Lee movies in the cinema. They put them on. They did like 4 movies back to back. I did that. One of them was Big Boss. And the funny thing is, the Big Boss is the one where Bruce Lee forms a union with the other Chinese master workers and things, and he is the champion of these guys. Well, the funny thing is, the very last scene, Bruce Lee fights a guy called Rennie Bundali, and Rennie Bundali is one of the white guys that the baddies been brought in to deal with Bruce Lee. And why would I train with him? Well, basically, he's pretty cool, but more importantly is the fact that Rennie Bundali took his 9th dan when I did my 8th dan. And I think that's the biggest claim. He's past president of Swiss Taekwondo. Sadly, he's died now, but he was 72 years old, and he got his 9th dan. And I just thought, if he can get a 9th dan at 72, I might just about make it when I'm 67. So I hope I make it to get my 9th dan before I'm 68. But yeah, so that's it. Who would I train with? Bruce Lee. Why? Awesome. Absolutely awesome. I did. One of my students did arrange for me to get a picture from Jackie Chan. I've got a picture from Jackie Chan. I'm the same age as what's his name? Antonio Banderas, but I'm also same age as Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I'm actually same age, same year as Jean-Claude Van Damme, which is pretty cool. So anyway, so all I want to do is be one day to meet one of these movie stars and be quite lucky with it. I mean, I've had a dealing with Michelle Yeoh, which is quite nice. But most importantly, I'm still doing Taekwondo and I'm still looking at these people. And everyone I said, the Italians all said Bruce Lee started them off. Chris and I were going to, as I said, Bruce Lee movies. And I've got to train with somebody who actually fought Bruce Lee. What more can you ask for? So there you go. Fair dues.
Yeah, I think all the not only the Taekwondo practitioner, any martial artist, they do love to spar with Bruce Lee, at least just to see how he.
Well, I met Jun Rhee. I don't know how tall Bruce Lee was, but I don't think he was very tall. But I met Jun Rhee, and Jun Rhee was tiny. And Chauncey Reed was his student, and Chauncey Reed is 8th Dan, and he's Chong Do Kwon member as well. And Jun Rhee was Chong Do Kwon. But the funny thing is, I was disappointed, but I thought he would be bigger. He wasn't a very big chap at all, and that was quite interesting, really. I'm just lucky to know the best people in the world. I've trained with the best people, and as I said, everybody has something to offer. Kang Ik Pil, top man, great to train with him. The new head of the academy, Grandmaster An, he taught me back in 2001, so I've got to train with him. Jung Kit Kyun, top man. I've met the best. I've trained with the best, even Olympic players and nice people. I don't think I've ever met a bad person in Taekwondo. People who make me inspired to this day. Eric Bart, Belgian Taekwondo, top man, amazing. He's 8th Dan. He must be due for his 9th Dan soon. Definitely. I think the Austrian president, as was, who rode his BMW all the way to BMW motorbike all the way to Korea, top man. Again, that's Norbert Mosch. Norbert Mosch is top guy. These guys are inspirations in Taekwondo and outside of Taekwondo and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? So from my point of view, it's all comes free with Taekwondo. Taekwondo inspires you, and then your inspiration comes from Taekwondo as well, so let's keep going, let's keep kicking, keep going all the way, you know what I mean?
Yes,
I think we're nearly at the end, but I'm going to give you what was my final quote. I said I've got to get this.
What techniques or form you never get tired to practicing? I believe that's
in my day it was axe kick. Axe kick was mine. I used to get shouted at across the ring, do your axe kick, because my axe kick was amazing, because I could actually go vertical, which means 7 feet of leg hitting someone in the head is pretty darn deadly. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool indeed. But for me, I think maybe it all works. I like it all. Good turning kick, good back kick. And Hamadang, it was his back kick I was using. But I managed to qualify as well, which was quite impressive. I think axe kick is cool. Axe kick is good, followed by something else, from that point of view. Patterns wise, all the patterns, do them all. Start with take one and go all the way through to Ilio. Do the whole lot. Don't ever skimp on it. Do everything from beginning to end, because that's what it's all about, really. I mean, if you do all pumses, I think it's about 18 minutes from beginning to end. Well, there you go. You've done your workout for the day. And that's it. And there was one master I met. I don't know if you ever met Keong So. Keong So was top man, and he said to me one day, he said, "Just do Jite. Jite is the only pattern you need. Do it once a day." And it's amazing. And maybe it's right. I don't know. Done properly, he said you could do all your workout in one pattern. Each pattern has its place. So at each level you're at, use that one pattern as your martial art, your pattern that it would be your go-to technique for self-defense. Now, currently in the self-defense book, they just take out one. They do a take out one self-defense routine, two self-defense routine, utilizing those techniques. And I think that's the important thing, But everybody is going to have something that fits better to them, something that works better for them. And that's the important thing, And remember, it's a treasure. You can't buy what we've got here. Every single thing we do is a treasure. And, as I said, store up your gold is doing a pattern. that pattern is your gold. Next pattern, next bit of gold. It's important, and that's all that matters. And that's the most important thing for me. So final comment then for the whole show, as we're coming up to nearly 2 hours, which is me rambling for 2 hours.
I've got a few more questions, Master.
No.
Any funny or unforgettable story from your dojang?
Many of those.
Like to share, Master.
I can tell you in Korean, Wajingshil means I want to go to the toilet. So if a little child comes up to you in the middle of your class and go, Kwanjingnim Wajingshil, holding their nether region, lower regions, it means they want to go to the toilet. Let them go to the toilet. You don't want that in the dojang. Any other things? No, not really. I mean, there's so many, it's unreal. I can talk all day.
What do you do to relax when you are not in the dojang or teaching?
I read a bit. I read books. I'm definitely think I like watching. I personally like the Jack Reacher series. I read those. I don't know. I mean, I enjoy sci-fi. I do sort of things like that. I have a habit of watching martial arts movies and analyzing their techniques. And it's interesting to see if you can think to yourself, when you watch a martial arts movie, you go, I can do that. I can do that. I know where that, that's not very good. And you've got to remember that my job is maxillofacial surgery. So I look up anything from the neck upwards as a target area, and I start working out, well, a knife hand strike to the neck is quite good there. A punch to the philtrum there, a strike to temple here. If you're unlucky, they've got a thin temple, you've killed them anyway. Application of technique is very important. I once did a self-defense seminar with someone, and this guy came up to me after and went, I thought you were so nice. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I've just realized you're not very nice at all. But knowing where the pressure points are, knowing where the strike points are, where you want to hit with your technique, it's all well and good talking you the talk, but if you don't know where the heck to hit with it, you might as well go home now. You're going to hit somebody 25 times and be wasted. Hit them once with a finger like that, and that's it, the end of game. People don't realize that, and I think this is quite important. It's priceless, really. Taekwondo is definitely still a martial art. I mean, I trained with Master Yoon Jung Hee, and he definitely used it in the Korean War. So that bloke knew what to hit and how to do it. And I know some stories, and I can't recount them, but I know a few, and it's quite important, really. How about that? Is that good?
Yes, Master. Last questions from me, Master. It's basically people like me who already have an examiner qualification from Kukiwan. Because I already got a questions from one of the audience. So an examiner, some of the Taekwondo practitioners, they got the examiner qualification, got the master qualification, but they still don't know how to organize belt grading or taking belt grading exams through the Kukiwan. Can you advise or guide those practitioners?
Is this in this country, or is it in Ireland, or where is it, or in Bangladesh, or who is it?
It's in Bangladesh or in India.
Yeah.
Or
well, if you've got a recognised examiner's qualification, then you've got to have a panel now, minimum 3 people. Okay, so 3 people turn up, and if you're doing a certain Dan test, they've got to be real Dans. They cannot be imitation Dans. You can't say, I'm going to test people up to whatever. So I can personally, in the UK, I can test up to 3rd Dan myself. If I have a higher Dan panel, then it has to be multiple masters, and then that would be up to 5th Dan. You have to prove you've done it. If you want to do 7th, 8th, 9th, 7th Dan, you can do in UK. 6th, 7th Dan, you can do in UK, but you have to send that up. They have to go really have a panel of high Dan masters in the UK. They've got to submit an essay, of course. Of course, you can go to Korea and take your test from 5th Dan upwards. You can ask to go to Korea should you want to do that.
Sorry to interrupt, Master. Can say, for example, if a person is an examiner, 3rd class examiner, and he wants to take exam for 1st Dan, 2nd Dan, and 3rd Dan, do they need a confirmation from the Kukiwan before they organize any belt grading, or they
No,
just take
not at all.
some and
Not at
send
all.
it to-
But they have to have a pathway to process on, so they can actually, if they are actually what's called a KMS member, Cooking One Master System, you have to have that, and then you can process. But unless you have that, you can't do that.
So how do they get the KMS get into
It depends
the
on the country. If it's a country with KMS, then you can apply for it. In the UK now, the KMS is closed, so people are now forming almost a cooperative of masters together to process cookie ones. Okay, that's the important thing. My KMS membership is at one point, because I was a Cookie One I am a Cookie One advisory member still. It's not been revoked, but a Cookie One advisory member could test to their own rank. So at one point I could test to 7th Dan, but they've changed the rules now, which is a great pity for me because I can't process to high level, which is annoying. But we can still have a panel. And from that panel, we can then submit. If you were going to do a high Dan, 7th Dan, 6th Dan, 7th Dan should be submitted through the Cookie One office in the UK. I don't know if Bangladesh has a Cookie One office yet, but it will do probably. I noticed that they are forming one in Cyprus. There's another one being done in Lebanon at the moment. So there are definitely Cookie One offices worldwide. And what it does is it removes all the work that was going through the Cookie One. Unfortunately, it means more paperwork or more legwork to get to the Cookie One, which frustrates me. But I still have a certain amount of clout, as they say. I did actually process for the Cookie One in with the BT panel, and I sat as one of the senior examiners, being first class examiner. I'm quite lucky. We've got Kevin Jervis in the UK holds first class. Grandmaster Vora holds first class. I think the guy in Scotland holds first class. Master Mahmood, I'm not quite sure for, but there aren't that many first class examiners in the UK. But in order to get an examiner's qualification, you have to have the rank to go with it. Master Biddlecombe will come with him. Grandmaster Biddlecombe is first class master and examiner like me, and then others hold examiner's qualifications. That's Lindsay Lawrence, Neil Guest, basically Master Shin from Manchester. They are people who hold that qualification. I think, Kevin Jervis is examiner, first class examiner as well. So, but a lot of people haven't got the examiner's qualification. That's the problem. Is you can talk, you've got all these qualifications. You can be a master, but not an examiner. So you've got to get the examiner's qualification, and you've got to get approval to hold a high Dan or Dan test. But ordinary cup grades can
that approval should come from Cookie One Master.
Yes, yeah. You say to the Cookie One, "Can I hold this? Can I hold a Dan test in my country?" And if they say yes, you do. If they say no, you've got to go through a national federation, which will be the Bangladesh Federation or whoever is in charge. So it varies according to country. So get the verification from the Cookie One, I suggest.
Okay, thank you very much, Master. Thank you for your time. Just to closing remark before we wrap up, do you have any message for the global Taekwondo community, especially for younger generation?
I would say don't be a fraud, don't be a fake, be real. Don't say you're something you're not. There are a lot of people who are out there saying they're something and they definitely are not that something. And remember where you came from. Treasure the moment where you got to where you are. Okay. I will say one thing to everybody on the way. It's very important. Take this to your hearts. Always remember, I didn't take enough pictures. Take more pictures. Make more records. Write down where you got your medals. Never forget where you won your medals, where you got your awards, where you did things. Because 20 years' time, you'll look back and where the heck did I get that from? Or how did I get that? And it's important. And I've got this little note at the bottom of everything, and it says, and this is from Martin Luther King Jr. Don't ever forget about the religion side of things. Just remember this little bit of line. I say it to my students. Okay, people, they go, "Oh, Mr. Evans, I have problems with my teachings, or someone doesn't like my work." And I say, forget it. It's as simple as this: never be satisfied with mediocrity. Do your job so well that no one else can do it better. Because then when somebody looks at you, what it means is be the best. Always be the best, and always strive to be better tomorrow than you were today, and all the rest of it. And I hope one day I get to be there with you. How about that?
Thank you, Master. Thanks for your time, effort. I don't want to hold you anymore because you were waiting for your lunch, maybe.
Well, it's nearly
It's
2
getting
hours. This
cooked.
is ridiculous. I'm hungry. You're
Thank
hungry. Listen,
Thank you
all of
very
you are
much,
doing taekwondo in the
Master.
world. Do your taekwondo, enjoy your taekwondo, keep safe, keep healthy, and maybe 2026 will be fantastic. So, Kamsamda and Annyeonghaseyo,
Master.
goodbye to everybody. And remember, 2026 will be a good year.
Thank you, Master.
Bye, everyone. Keep safe.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers.
I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. Oh, ooh. Second, don't you tell me what you think that I can be. I'm the one at the sail, I'm the master of my sea. Oh, ooh, the master of my sea. Oh, ooh. I was broken from a young age, taking my soak into the masses, writing my poems for the few that look at me, took to me, shook at me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message from the veins, speaking my lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the. Hey, you burn me up, believer, believer. Hey, you burn me up, believer, believer. Hey, let the bullets fly, let them rain. My life, my love, my time, it came from. Hey, you burn me up, believer, believer. Third things third, send a prayer to the ones up above. All the hate that you've heard has turned your spirit to a dove. Oh, ooh, your spirit up above. Oh, ooh. I was choking in the crowd, building my rain up in the cloud, falling like ashes to the ground, hoping my feelings they would drown, but they never did. Ever lived, ebbing and flowing, inhibited, limited, till it broke up when it rained down. It rained down like. Hey, you burn me up, believer, believer. Hey, you burn me up, believer, believer. Hey, let the bullets fly, let them rain. My life, my love, my time, it came from. Hey, you burn me up, believer, believer. Last things last, by the grace of the fire and the flames. You're the face of the future, the blood in my veins. Oh, ooh, the blood in my veins. Oh, ooh. But they never did, ever lived, ebbing and flowing, inhibited, limited, till it broke up when it rained down. It rained down like.
I want to stop. We can't.